Alright. I'm going to bring this thing upstairs, and then we will continue with whatever we're doing. Why does it say I'm not streaming on Discord? Show that I am streaming, please. There you go. Okay. I'll be right back, and then we will continue. Okay, alright. Alright. Okay, alright, alright. Okay, alright. Okay, alright. Okay, alright. Okay. Okay. Wait, my camera's not on. Let's turn that on. And then when I switch to the camera scene, it will definitely be there when I open up the camera scene, right? When I switch to the scene with the camera, it'll definitely be on it, right? It'll definitely be there when I switch to it, like right now. Oh my god, it actually was there. Holy fucking shit. We are so in. We're so in. We've never been more in than we are right now. Okay. And now, when I open the Twitch app on my phone, it will just work. Well, no, it's sort of working, but it's showing my old stream and says I've been watching it for 4 hours, which is not true. I've not even been... I wasn't even streaming for 4 hours earlier. I don't know why it would just lie like that. Okay. My channel. And open up on here. Okay, we're good. Alright. We're back at it. With the memes. Okay. Again, we have 2 goals that we want to do today. We want to finish up the Land of the Lustrous card game implementation in some way or form. I think we pretty much have it manually working. Like, to put the cards on there so that people can play the game manually. Let's understand how the game works with its rules, so then we can automate some of its stuff in scripting. That's one thing we can do. I know some mods, people add in, like, functionality to, like, select, like, would you like these additional things within the game, like setting options or whatever. And, like, for this game specifically, it would be like, do you want to add these card packs to it or whatever? But really, card packs is, like, just 2 other cards, so it doesn't really matter. Let's just assume all the cards are in it. Let's just assume all the cards are in it. Although the game recommends not including a certain card. But we can read through them to make sure. So let's do create first. We're going to make it all local. And then if it all looks good, we'll set it to go onto the workshop once we get it looking good. So let's do... Close this. Objects. We'll go add cards. Custom deck. Right there. And then it will not actually pop anything up, even though it's supposed to. Based. Okay. Custom deck. Alright, cool. Now, the face cards. Gonna do the Land of Lustrous deck, which should be this image. Local, good. And then we add the back. Should be this image. Local. We do 22, because there's 22 cards, right? Wait, let me just check the image and make sure. There are 22 cards, yes. And then we set the hidden to the back. Back is hidden. And then import. Boom. Alright, so we got the cards. We have the cards. We have the technology. We can, in fact, get things working with this for what we need. Oh, fuck, I just closed my phone. I'm not supposed to close my phone for this. Okay. Alright, there we go. Okay, I'll do an additional ping. We're back. We are back. Dinosaur story. Okay. Let's understand how the rules of the game works now. I think you can also add in a rulebook thing. Tools, I guess. But I thought there was a way people integrate, like, rulebook showing up. Would it be under miscellaneous, maybe? What's under miscellaneous? Reverse chips, bowls, custom? Card deck tile. A PDF. We could add it as a PDF. Ugh. You could also just add it as, like, a tile with the rules on it. That's a thing you can do, I guess. Tools. What do we got for tools? A tablet, a note card, All these digital clock, bag, infinite bag, counter. All right. Let us understand. Where's my thing? Oh, first I can close that. I can also close this because we're done processing their thing. And this. All right. Okay. Card game. Moseki no Kuni. Based on the original card game Love Letter. Let's read through this. What do we got? So the basic game cards, there's 16 of them. Then there's 4 additional cards. And there's 4 overview cards. Don't know what those were supposed to be. There's 1 blank game card, which I'm assuming is supposed to be a joker. I don't know. It doesn't say what to do with the blank card, but maybe when I read through it, I'll find a part that I missed. And then there are 21 textless game cards. What? 21 textless game cards. So it's just the card, but without the text. The same cards, but without the text. The same cards, but without the text. Is that what this is saying? Because we have an image of the textless game card. So are you supposed to have, like, 2 decks for this? But it says to play the game with only 1. Essentially. It says to play the game with, like, 1 deck, right? Maybe the textless cards are just for collection memes. And then we have a rule book, which is this. Okay. Alright. So what else we got here? The story, the birthplace of the gems, the shore of nascency. There, several gems were born anew. Innocent as they are in their infancy, they must each find a part that they could play in this world. Through meeting various other gems interacting and forming teams, will they be able to find the partner who can lead them to their place in this world? Question mark. Overview of the game. Can I, like, open this in a way that I can zoom in better? Here we go. It's a little too much, but whatever. Players are newborn gems out on a journey to find the best role for themselves and the right partner who will lead them to that role. By tapping on the power in the gems they meet, the card in their hand, they aim to team up with the gem who can give them the best relation. Hold on, let me turn down this music a bit. What the hell? Try and talk here. Shut the fuck up. Alright. By tapping on the power of the gems they meet, the cards in their hand, they aim to team up with the gem who could give them the best leadership and guidance. However, they must avoid letting the other player guess who their partner, the card in their hand, is. This is because the other players, who will also be looking for good partners, will try to forestall and disturb your work with your partner. Players can only hold 1 card in their hand. The player who is able to make a wise choice and find the best partner for themselves wins the game. Okay. How to read the cards. It's just the name. The value represents the overall influence, strength, knowledge, etc. of the card. The higher the value, the more there is to be gained from partnering with this gem. Okay. Abilities. Special powers of this card. Illustration of the character. Okay, we understand. Alright. Cool. Next image. What's the next image? This one. Having acquired powerful fighting abilities by replacing body parts in a loss with platinum, gold alloy, and other gems, and also having gone through a lot of mental growth after various incidents, this is Phosphophyllite today. There are now a force to be reckoned with foes backing you up. Nobody would even think about messing with you. By having them as your partner, you will be able to benefit from their experience too. Whether you wish to use or keep this powerful card in your hand will be your choice. Phosphophyllite Other is not the same card as Phosphophyllite. A player using the powers of Phosphophyllite Value 1 can call out Phosphophyllite Other and make another player drop out. About the effects of Phosphophyllite Other. This card allows you to ignore all effects that are meant to make you drop out. You will not drop out if a player uses Phosphophyllite Value 1 and guesses your card. However, you have to state whether the guess was correct or wrong. You will not drop out even if you discard a Master Congo card. You will not drop out when a card with a value of 3 uses its power to compare values with you. You will not drop out if the value of your hand exceeds 12 and one of them is a Bort card. However, you have to declare that your hand has exceeded 12. You will not drop out even if you draw a Mofu Mofu card. While you may hold on to the Mofu Mofu card, you cannot win when the game ends, as Mofu Mofu has no value on it. To it. That's true. It is recommended to play with a set of basic cards a few times before including the additional cards, as they will greatly affect the balance of the game. The additional cards being, wait, what are these other things? Are these just other love letter? Yeah, these are just other love letter variants. Okay. Queries about gameplay and the rules can be directed here. Okay, that's fine. I don't care. Okay. Preparing for play. Shuffle the 16 basic cards and lay them in one pile, facing downwards. This is the deck. Draw one card from the top without looking at it. Wait. Oh yeah, 16 basic. But that includes the 5 phospholites, I'm assuming. So all the basic cards, lay them in a pile. This is the deck. Draw one card from the top without looking at it and put it to the side. This card will not be used. If there are only 2 players, draw another 3 cards from the top of the deck and place them facing upwards next to the deck. You can use these cards to aid your guessing during the game. Okay. Next, each player draws one card from the deck as their hand. Okay, let's do a simulation here of how this game is supposed to play out based on this. Let's simulate it here. Okay. Right here. Okay. Okay. We will simulate this game real quick. Okay. Alright. So, we've shuffled. Technically, you shuffled all of them together for this, even though the basic is supposed to be, like, all you use. We've shuffled them all together here. Okay? Now. This is the deck. Draw one card from the top without looking at it. That will not be used. Do we put it, like, over here? Is that what I do? It says draw one card. Oh my god, maybe I do have to open it in the new fucking tab, I guess. Fuck me, dude. Okay. Draw one card from the top without looking at it and put it to one side. Okay. This card will not be used. If there are only 2 players, draw another 3 cards to the top of the deck and place them facing upwards next to the deck. Okay. There's a Phos. There's a Cinnabar. And there's Congo. We don't have to worry about Congo. Okay. You can use these cards to aid your guessing during the game. Next, each player draws one card from their deck as their hand. So, like, I get one, he gets one. We'll show each other for the purpose of testing it. But I have a Rutile. He's a Euclid. Okay. Alright. Oh, maybe the textless cards are so that you can know which ones to guess. Maybe the textless cards are supposed to help you be able to figure out what cards people have and don't have. You use those. Wait, but no, but there's only one copy of each of those then, right? You'd want more than that. Well, I get, like, you can, if you had a set of extra cards, you can use it to, like, guess. Or, like, you use it to track, but maybe it's only for the names. I don't know. Alright, so. We each draw a card as our hand. We don't show that hand to other players. We will for the testing of this thing. Pick a player to start the game. We'll assume I start the game. And then proceeds by turns. Okay. When it's your turn, draw a card from the top of the deck, add to your hand, pick one card from the 2 in your hand to play. If that card has a special power, apply it, follow the instructions. For cards with no such powers, nothing happens upon playing them. Cards you have played become discarded. Display these in order in front of you, facing up in the same order you have played them. These cards will be hints for the other players to figure out which card's in your hand. Your turn ends after you have applied the card's power effect. The player to your left will take the turn, continues to the end of the game. Conditions for the end are described below. Okay, how do you end the game? Players can drop out, is an important thing. How do I... What was the step that ends the game? Here we go. Step 5, ending the game. The game ends when either of the following conditions are met. When the deck is empty. The game ends if a player draws the last card in the deck. In this case, all players who have not dropped out yet reveal their hand, and the players holding the card with the greatest value, i.e. the player who teamed up with the best partner, wins. Wait. Oh, okay, yeah. So you'd only have one card in your hand, right? Okay. If there is more than one such player, the game ends in a draw. You may decide the winner either by playing again with all players or just those players with the greatest value. When all players, or number 2, when all players have dropped out except one. In this case, the last standing player wins. Advice on how to play cards. To make it easy to guess players' hand when playing with people who are not familiar with the game, it would be good to make it clear whether they are discarding the card from their hand or the card they drew from the deck. Once players get more used to the game, the difficulty... Okay, by keeping that secret. Okay. Advice. Advice 2, playing continuous rounds. You can play continuous rounds using marbles or similar objects. Players are awarded with 1 marble representing a point for each round they win, and all players in a tie are awarded with 1 marble. The final winner is the player who collects 3 marbles first. For each round they win. And each round is like a full game? Is that what that is? Next turn for you may adjust the number of points. The final one according to... Further, if the player who wins has Master Congo in their hand, you can award them 2 marbles instead. Okay. Dropping out. If a player drops out of the game, they have to show their hand and add it to their discards. Their discarded cards. Okay. So each of us is going to have a discard pile in front of us. I understand. Okay. So to test it, let's say it's my turn. So I have a Rutile in my hand. What does Rutile do? Also, is it slanted? No, it's not. I think I'm just crazy. Okay, Rutile. What does Rutile do? Rutile, choose one other player to swap hands with. Oh. Her value is 6, and I think the highest the values go is 8? I think Congo is an 8. Was Congo an 8? Congo's an 8, yes. Okay, so I got a pretty high card right now. So I probably wouldn't want to play her yet. And swap hands. I drew a Podparasha. Podparasha... Oh, wait. Was her ability like you can't play this card? Fuck, what was her thing? Kono kado wa dasu koto ga dekinai. So you can't play this card? So I'm stuck with this, essentially. I'm stuck with Podparasha. It is also fitting. I drew Rutile and Podparasha. Okay, it's very fitting. It's very fitting. You wouldn't get it. What does Euclise do for him? Euclise. Okay, well I have to play... Oh, wait. Then I'm going to know what's in his hand. Because I can't play Podparasha, which means I have to play Rutile. And when I do play Rutile, then I do its effect. And Rutile's effect is that I swap hands with another player. So I swap with Euclise, right? Wait, is there any other things that it says about Rutile? As the gem in charge of repairing the others, Rutile makes a fine partner as they wield a great amount of influence. However, they tend to suggest swapping partners with others to satisfy their own curiosity. While this is a chance to obtain superior cards, the player with whom you have swapped hands will know what is in your hand, and vice versa. I'll know what's in theirs. There is also a need to consider the consequences of other players using the card you exchange with them carefully. That's true. I mean, I've given them Podparasha, but I kind of have to because I can't play Podparasha. So I give them Podparasha, and then I get Euclise, and then it goes to their turn. Euclise and Jade have the same effect. Choose a player. This can be yourself to discard their hand and draw another card from the deck. Okay. All right, so right now I know Podparasha is a 6, so it's going to be higher than my Euclise, which is a 5. So when it gets to be my turn, I could make them discard that so I don't have to worry about them winning with that. Okay. But then it would go to their turn. They have a Podparasha that they can't play. They draw an Alexandrite. Alexandrite does things. Look at the hand of the other player. Well, that's not very useful because they already know what I have. But they can't play Podparasha, so they play Alexandrite. And so they see my hand. Hi, you can see my hand. And then I show them my hand. And boom. Okay, goes back to me. Now, I have Euclid, which allows me to... What did it allow me to? Make him discard their hand or something? Use a player, discard their hand, and draw another card from the deck. Okay. Red Barrel also does the same thing as Alexandrite. It just makes them show me their hand. But it's also a 2, as opposed to the 5. I can make him get rid of his 6, but then I'll only have a 2. So, but then I can get information about what he has afterwards, right? Did I just hear something? I don't know if I just heard something. Anyways. I can play Euclid, and then he would discard... No, wait, but he can't get rid of Paparasha right now. So I would keep this in my hand until I know I can get a card that is going to be either the same or higher than Paparasha, right? Well, certainly not a 2. I don't need to stick with the 2, so I'd play it, right? Fuck it. Let's say I play the 2. Then he draws a card. Amethyst. What does Amethyst do? Did the music stop? Oh, we reached the end of like 4 playlists I had on here. God damn. Okay. Wait. Okay. What is Amethyst? Choose another player and see where you compare the value of the card in their hand with yours. The player with the lowest value drops out? So they would just lose then, right? They have to compare the value of the card in their hand with yours. The player with the lower value drops out. So they would compare the value of their card with... Because they can't play Paparasha. So he's got to play Amethyst. Oh, we know. I would lose, right? They're with a lower value because mine is lower than Paparasha. I would just lose. Because he would compare them, and then I would have to drop out, which means I lose. Well, fuck. Well, alright. I understand. Let's assume that didn't happen, though. Let's just assume that didn't happen. Okay. For example, let's do rewind. No, actually, no. Amethyst is just, in a 2-player game, Amethyst will just end things, pretty much, I guess. Well, let's just keep going, then. Let's say that didn't matter, and we just continue on. A Mofu card. I think if you draw this, you draw out. When this card is in your hand, you become obsessed with a Mofu and drop out. Now, the game recommends not putting this in there. It recommends to add it in there when there's 5 or more players. Because this can be played with many, many players, apparently. So, when a 2-player game, probably not recommended, because you just draw it and lose. Is there any recommendations with Amethyst? Are cards of the same value, there will be no effect. When you use this card, you have to be mindful that the other players can see the results of the battle. By exchanging and checking the cards in their respective hands, the player with the lower value hand has to declare they are dropping out. Of course, this may also be the player who used these cards. Okay. Okay, so the Mofu card would make you drop out if you draw it. But we can also assume that you're not supposed to... Wait, what happens to the card that was over here? Is that what this was? Where's the card that was over to the side? Did I screw something up? Did I draw a card by accident that was over there? What was over there? One of these cards that's here was over there. Oh, it was the Amethyst one. I was not supposed to draw Amethyst. Amethyst we can, like, put in this hand. Amethyst was not even supposed to happen. Which means they would draw the Mofu and lose. But we're also going to assume that's not supposed to be in the deck. Okay, let's assume... I mean, I would have played that and then we would have moved on. Okay, Boss Forfolite. Her effect was... I mean, this is the special Fos, right? Or is this... Oh no, this is the special Fos. This is the other Fos. This is the basic Fos. Value of 1, right? Choose another player and name a gem other than Phosphophyllite. It is the same as the card in their hand, they drop out. Okay, so he would just guess mine and win, though, because he would know that I have Euclid in my hand, right? Because we swapped. Alright, so I'm starting to see you probably don't want to play this game 2 players because it's very easy for the game to just end. But also, I don't know if there's a lot of cards for if you have 3 players. Kind of like... Let's say there's more than that, though, right? Let's say there's more. You're supposed to be a thing, right? Okay. Let's say there's 3 players. You put 1 card to the side, which will not be used. Apparently. I don't know what the 1 card being put to the side means. Are there some of these that have additional things that do that? Diamond. If the total value of the card in your hand exceeds 12, you have to discard this card. Antarcticite. If this card is in the hand of any player when the game ends, the player whose card has the lowest value wins. If this card is in the hand of any player when the game ends, the player whose card has the lowest value wins. Okay, and then theirs is like a pretty low value. I see. The special Phosphophyllite, you will not drop out until the end of the game. Once you play the card, that effect will happen? Right? So you have to play it for that effect to happen? Because Antarcticite says, if this card's your hand at the when the game ends. But then again, the Padparashas thing implies that the effect doesn't happen until you play it, but her thing is that you can't play the card. So I guess hers would be different. Red Barrel and Alexandria look at the hand of one other player. Phosphophyllite, choose another player and name a gem other than Phosphophyllite. If it's the same as the card in their hand, they drop out. And the Morganite and Amethyst are to compare them. Yellow Diamond and Zircon. This blocks any effects used against you until your next turn. Retile, swap hands. Bort. If the value of the cards in your hands exceeds 12, you drop out. Jane Euclid. Choose a player. This could be yourself to discard their hand and draw another card from the deck. Congo. If you discard this card, you drop out. Okay, so you can't discard that card. If somebody... Yeah, this says if you discard this card. But what if someone makes you discard it? Is that okay? If either Jade or Euclid find out and make you discard this card, or Phosphophyllite finds out, you will be torn away from Master Congo and drop out. Okay, so it clarifies. If somebody's effect makes you do it, you lose. But he's also the highest value card. And Cinnabar, when the game ends, the value of this card becomes 7. What is the point of putting a card to the side? Draw 1 card from the top and put it on one side. This card will not be used. What is the point of that? What is the point of that? Is it to like put mystery towards like you'll never know all the information towards what people are going to have, maybe? Because no matter what you know towards the end, when there's only 1 card left in the deck, you won't be sure about what somebody has because there's always 1 card that's a mystery to everybody at the table. I'm assuming that's what that's about. I'm assuming that's what that means. Okay, so that I guess that makes sense to me. I still kind of feel like you can get knocked out of this game very easily. Like, very, very easily. Okay, let's assume there's 3 people. We get rid of that one. You get this card. You get this card. And I get this card. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, Euclid, Paparasha, and Red Barrel. Okay, these are the cards we got to work with here. Okay? Alright. Starts with me. Red barrel lets me compare cards. No, look at the hand of one player. Okay, let's say I look into this one's hand, and I know they have Podparasha. Okay, I know you have Podparasha. Amazing. I know you got it. You got Podparasha. Next up. Oh, technically I would draw a card and then play it. And this one lets me swap hands. So I would do this first to find out what they have. And then I would know that, like, they can't play that. Okay, but I wouldn't know what he has. Okay, and then it will go clockwise, so it goes to this player. They have Euclise. Euclise make somebody discard a card. Yeah, discard their hand and draw another card from the deck. And the other card they get is Antarcticite. So if they have this card at the end of their hand, or at the end of the game, then whoever has the lowest value wins. Antarcticite might be cool to have, because people are going to try to compete for the higher value things. So we play Euclise, and we're going to make... I don't know. Fucking make this player drop, and that's my Rutile. So I drop my Rutile. I have to draw a new card. It's Yellow Diamond. And Yellow Diamond... this blocks any effects used against you until your next turn. Okay. Alright, so they played that. And then it goes to the Podparasha player. They draw. Monster card? No. Diamond. The Diamond. Similar to Borp, but not really. Diamond, if the total value of cards in your hand exceeds 12, you have to discard this card. 6 and 7. So, yes, you have to discard this card. That's what it says. They have to discard it. So now they know, math-wise, that the total of the cards in the hand is over 12. Which means it's going to be at least 13. So it could be a 6, a 7, or an 8. And Mofa Mofa is not worth anything, because if you draw them, you lose. Okay. And it goes to me. I draw. There's a Fos. So if I guess what they have in their hand, they have to drop out. I already know, because I would have known prior, what this person has in their hand. I don't know, I wouldn't know yet what this person has in their hand. This will allow me to block any effects for a turn. So I guess... I can eliminate the Podparasha player right now, though. Because I know what's in their hand. And I guess you would want to do that. So, fuck it. You'd play Fos and say Podparasha. And then they're gone. Because all I have to do is just guess what they have in their hand. And if I get it right, they're gone. So they're gone. Alright. And then it goes to this person. They draw. Zircon. Zircon also blocks effects until next turn. And we have Antarcticite, so if we end the game with that in our hand, we win. So, unless they have a Fos. So we'll play it. We'll play Zircon and block any effects against us. Goes to me. Morganite does the same as Amethyst. Choose another player and secretly compare the value of the cards in their hand with yours. The player with the lower value drops out. Okay. So I guess this is just telling me what they have. Oh, but right now they're going to be protected from the effects. So I would have to play this. I would have to play Yellow Diamond if I wanted that to happen. Wait, but Morganite's also... oh, wait, no, hold on. Oh, yeah, I wouldn't compare the value of Morganite. I would compare the value of the other one in my hand, so yeah, that's fine. So I play this. And I'm protected next turn. They draw. They get a Fos. So even if they guess what I have in my hand, it won't knock me out. Well, let's say they play it, and they guess a high value thing. Say they say Congo, right? Because you would want to make sure that they don't have... actually, because he has Antarcticite, you would say Fos. Do you have a Fos? Because then you would knock them out. Although you have 2 Foses in play, though. But you would say that, right? Because whoever's the lower value. You want to have the lower value. So you would say, do you have a Fos? And I would say no. And so nothing would happen. Actually, nothing would happen in general because I'm blocked from effects. Is there clarification on Zircon thing? All player under the protection of these cards can still be targeted by another power. That power will not be effective. They can protect you from all kinds of harm in the start of... in the short term. They're probably the cards with the most helpful effect during the game itself. Okay. Sometimes it helps to keep this card, even if it means you have to discard a higher value card. The player who is the target of this card has to answer yes or no. As they answer, the player has guessed the card in their hand correctly. If the answer is yes, they guess correct, they drop out. If the answer is no, the guess is wrong, then there is no need to show their hand. While it's possible for the player to lie, they will not be able to gain the other gem's trust in the event that they win. You can lie, but you won't get away with it for long. I understand. Now, the clarification here, you can still be targeted, but that power will not be effective, meaning I would not have to answer the question. Right? Oh, the player who is the target of this card has to answer yes or no. So just being targeted means you have to answer it. But you don't drop out afterwards. I'm assuming that's what that means? The blocking effect thing is kind of annoying with its wording. I need, like, clarifications on that. Yellow Diamond, the eldest and most mellow of the group, and their partner in the earnest Zircon, are good at taking care of others. They can protect you from all kinds of harm in the short term. They are probably the cards with the most helpful effect during the game itself. While a player under the protection of these cards can still be targeted by another player, the power will not be effective. So, technically speaking, I don't think I have to answer the question. Choose another player and name a gem other than Phosphophyllite. If it is the same as the card in their hand, they drop out. Okay. I'm going to assume you don't have to answer it. I'm going to assume you don't have to answer the question and hope that that's correct. I can hope and pray that that's correct. With that in mind, I would not have to answer the Phosphophyllite question. Then I would draw. Boom. I would draw Mofu Mofu and I would lose. You just lose if you draw Mofu Mofu. Because Mofu Mofu specifically says... This is the broken up form of a mysterious new type of Lunarian. Gems that have laid eyes on it will be instantly captivated by its fluffy appearance and give up on the search for their partner. If this is the first card you draw at the start of the game, you'll unfortunately have to drop out on the spot. It is recommended to add this where there are more than 5 players. When this card is in your hand, you become obsessed with Mofu Mofu and drop out. Okay. I thought there was a ruling somewhere about Mofu Mofu, but I might have just been imagining it. Yeah, because it specifically says when it's in your hand, you drop out. It's not when you play it, so it's just over. I would just lose. I would just lose. And then we would want, like, a reset button, I guess, to, like, reset everything. Start it again, I guess. Right? I could do this, though. All set. All clean. Alright, so we understand how this works. Now I gotta add some scripting stuff. This lets you edit things. I don't understand how this works, though. Where's the tab I had? Scripting.
Hi, my name is Ryan Langwish, and
Hi,
this
Ryan.
is Ludo Lodge, a channel about sparking growth for game designers. And
Hi.
today I'm going to be continuing my series on prototyping, going to be the documentation for the Tabletop Simulator scripting API. And so if you go to that website, you can see detailed descriptions of every function and every piece that you basically have at your disposal and make up all the building blocks that you have to work with. And that's going to be something that you reference regularly, even if you're experienced in programming in Tabletop Simulator, probably referencing back to just remember specific things. So let's take a look at what scripting kind of looks like or how you access it within Tabletop Simulator. So if you go up to the modding section there before you actually save and play with your scripting changes. Another thing to mention is that this editor, where we're editing the code here, isn't a very nice text editor. Like, it's not very feature rich. It's very basic.
Looks like
you
shit.
can edit it all here, and that's what I'll do for this tutorial. It's worth mentioning, though, that the official documentation recommends actually using the text editor Atom, A-T-O-M.
Do I have
and they
to?
actually have
Can
an
I use
officially
Visual Studio
supported
Code?
plugin that can be to something that in the API has a bunch of functionality, objects. So if I come out and I come to this object and I go to scripting and scripting editor, you'll notice it now opened another kind of tab here that doesn't have any code in it because I haven't added any code to this die 12.
No, I understand.
And it's worth mentioning that if you labeled your components, it would update these here, which can make it a little easier to keep track, like if you had a bunch of these open, knowing which component is which.
Can I label
so
it?
Any code that I put in here is going to be specifically kind of applying to that component, that specific object, whereas global is going to be more globally. Now, there's going to be a lot of times where you maybe could do something either way. Like I could put something in the global code, or I could put it in it for the component. This gets in a little bit into just kind of like programming best practices, everything that's within it. All a we can see that name in other places. As I can quick close this, you can see that my Hi, my name is Ryan Langwish, and welcome to be new to this series and new to scripting and table kind of in the
Here we
game
go,
world
setup button.
on the table.
Here we go.
And so to do that,
What do
the
we got?
way that I'm going to kind of
I'm
go
ready.
about handling the fact that I need an object for this button to be attached to.
Okay, how do I do it?
I'm just going to use a checker. I'm just going to use a black checker. So I'm going to pull this out here.
You just press the checker. Is that what this is?
An important thing to understand with scripting, and I talked about this a little bit in my intro video, is when we make scripting changes, we're going to end up hitting the save and play button, which is going to kind of load in those scripting changes, but it's going to apply it to our last save file. And if that means that we didn't save since adding components like this, they're just going to disappear. So before I go any further, since these are kind of the pieces I'm going to want my button to kind of appear right here. I'm going to want this. I'm going to save this into a save file. So I'm going to go, and I'm just going
I
to
should do
actually
this.
create a new save file here. So I'm going to save game and name it scripted.
Okay. Well, we'll save this. Save game. Land of the Lustrous Love Letter card game. Cool. We have that. It's saved. It says 6. I don't know why, but it says 6. Is that the number of saves? Okay, that's the number of saves we have. Okay. Sure. Whatever. We have that.
Haven't thought about this ahead of time. Scripted card setup tutorial. Sure. We'll save it as that. So now if we load that, it's exactly where we were before. So now every time we apply scripting changes, this is kind of where the last state will be. If I make any changes to this, I would want to overwrite that save file. Now we want to go to this checker, and we want to right-click it. And actually, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a name. And I'm going to name it set up cards button, because that's ultimately what this object is representing, is that button. The only reason I'm doing that is so that when I go into the scripting editor here, it makes it a little nicer for the tab to be labeled that way. In this tutorial, it's going to be pretty trivial because like this is all I'm going to have. But if you had more things that were scripted, you can see where it would be very helpful to have that name as opposed to black checker, if I had multiple buttons or something like that. So I want to add a UI.
Wait, how did he name it?
And I'm going to name it by that save file. Now we want to go to this checker, and we want to right-click it. And actually, the first thing I'm going to do is
Oh, am I blind? Was I able to do that with the? Oh, you are. Land of the Lustrous deck. Boom. Named. Okay. Script button. I don't even remember what he named his.
I'm going to give it a name, and I'm going to name it set up cards button, because that's ultimately what this object is representing, is that button. The only reason I'm doing that is so that when I go into the scripting editor here, it makes it a little nicer for the tab to be labeled that way. In this tutorial, it's going to be pretty trivial because like this is all I'm going to have. But if you had more things that were scripted, you can see where it would be very helpful to have that name as opposed to black checker, if I had multiple buttons or something like that. So I want to add a UI button here, which I'm going to do using the UI tab for our setup cards button. And so what I'm going to do here is add in a button is going to have kind of these XML tags that look something like this. That's going to be kind of our button. And any of the attributes that we want to give to this button are going to be inside of this first tag, and then in between the tags, we put the text of what we want the button to say. So for example, I can put in between here, set up cards. Maybe that's what I want the button to say. And then I'm going to have a variety of things that I want to define for this button. Which I'm going to put on new lines here, which is really just a formatting preference, but I think it'll be easiest to read. So the first thing is anytime we have a button, we're typically going to be tying it to a Lua function that we're going to end up defining in this Lua tab, which is basically saying when this button is clicked, what code should we run? And so we define that by using the onClick attribute, which we're going to
I understand JavaScript.
Set up cards. So that's going to be our function that we define later to handle this functionality. Next, we're going to want to position this. So this position is going to be relative to our checker. So like I'm going to be passing it kind of an XYZ value, and if I put 0, 0, 0, it's just going to be right centered on my checker. I actually am going to use 0, 0, and I believe negative 30. That's basically just, I want to raise it on the z-axis so that the button is completely above the checker. So in practice, the idea is that this will completely cover the checker, and most people playing the mod would actually never even know that that checker is there. But it fulfills the need of our button needing an object, and also gives us a way to kind of easily move the button around if needed, which I'll show that a little bit later. So the next thing we're going to want here is to define just the dimensions. So let's go with a width of 600, and we're going to say a height of 200. And lastly, I'm going to define a font size. I'm going to have that be 72, which I just know from playing around with this earlier that that's going to be a decent font size for this size of button. So now, if we save and play here, we should reload, and we can see here font size for the size of button. So now, if
stop with 600, just to test it with 600. I can always adjust these myself later, but just to follow his tutorial. Height equals 200, whatever. Font size equals 72. Why is the numbers in quotes?
If we save and play here, we should reload, and we can see here.
Unexpected thing. What did I do? Did I copy him wrong? Button on click equals position equals width equals height equals font size is not supposed to be that. It's supposed to be this. There is still an error. You must load a save first. Where do you think we are? Unexpected symbol near. But what is the unexpected symbol? There is no unexpected symbol. You've expected all of this. What is the problem here, sir? Do I have to have this like that? No. Okay. The fuck is your issue? What is your malfunction? Okay. I'm just going to put all this on there. All together. Probably shouldn't be. Not like that. I can't even scroll over now. Okay. And like that. Still nothing. Unexpected symbol near something. Still nothing. What is the fucking issue? I wrote button. It's just like how he wrote it, and it gives me an issue. Am I fucking dumb? Don't answer that. Hey, don't answer. Hey, don't answer that. Wait, was I supposed to have it set to UI? Wait. I was, wasn't I? Fuck me, dude. I see. Not to Lua, to UI. I probably skipped over him saying that, maybe. Taboo. Error, no save found. You must load a save for... What? Did I... What? Okay, are you gonna fucking fight me on this? Save game. What? I can't save it to that? What are you doing? Wait. Can I not save this game? Control S? Save? How do you save? Games? Save load. You want to save game? Can I not just overwrite this? Overwrite. There you go. There you go. Are you happy? Are you happy about yourself now? Can I fucking load you, please? Thanks. What do you mean no save found? What did I just do? You saw me do it. Why are you acting like it won't work? Okay. It's okay. Perhaps I misunderstood him. Perhaps I misunderstood the tutorial. Perhaps I was not paying fully attention.
Handling the fact that I need an object for this button to be attached to is I'm just going to use a checker. I'm just going to use a black.
Okay.
So I'm going to pull this out.
Yes, the checker.
An important thing to understand with scripting, and I talked about this a little bit in my intro video, is when we make scripting changes, we're going to end up hitting the save and play button, which is going to kind of load in those scripting changes.
Yes,
but it's going
I
to apply
understand.
to our last save file, and if that means that we didn't save since adding components like this, they're just going to disappear. So before I go any further, since these are kind of the pieces I'm going to want my...
Wait. I thought... So I just saved this. Do I have to load it again, too? Hold on. So I saved it. When I load it... Now take your time. There you go. When I look at the scripting memes... Okay, save and play. It didn't do it, though. It didn't do the thing it was supposed to do. That's supposed to become a button. I was lied to. The tutorial fucking lied to me.
My button
Why would you lie to me like this?
I'm going to save this into a save file.
Okay.
So I'm going to go, and I'm just going to actually create a new save file here. So I'm going to save game and name it scripted.
Yeah, I did that.
Scripted card setup.
Yeah, I did that. I did that already.
So now if we load that, it's exactly where we were before. So now,
okay.
By scripting changes, this is kind of where the last state will be. If I make any changes to this, I would want to overwrite that save file. Now we want to go to this checker, and we want to right-click it. And actually, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a name. And I'm going to name it...
okay, I did that too.
Cards button.
I called it start button.
Is that button. The only reason I'm doing
I did that already.
When I go to the scripting editor here, it makes it a little nicer for the tab to be labeled that way.
Sure, whatever.
Is to black checker UI tab for or something like that. So I want to add a UI button here, which I'm using the UI tab for.
That's where I'm at.
And so what I'm
at the UI tab.
A button is going to have kind of these XML tags that look something like this. That's going to be kind of our button.
He's selected on button. Or, yeah, he selected on, for him, the set of cards button. So he's not on global, so I have it in the right place.
The attributes that we want to give to this button are going to be inside this first tag, and then in between the tags, we put the text of...
Okay. Button. With the closing tab over here. Button. The closing tag. So this should be exactly how he sets it up, right?
So, for example, I can put
in between he says...
Set up cards. That's what I want.
Set up cards. This is text he puts. I put start game. Should still work similarly. Should still work the same way.
Button to say.
Let's look at the parameters he adds.
Of things that I want to define for this button, which I'm going to put on new lines here, which is really just a formatting preference, but I think it'll be easiest to read.
Okay, it's just a formatting preference, but it should just be easier to read. That's what he says. Oh, that still didn't work here. Still didn't work.
So the first thing is anytime we have a button, we're typically going to be tying it to a Lua function that we're going to end up defining in this Lua tab.
All right, that's fine.
When this button is clicked, what code should we run? And so we define that by using the onClick attribute, which we're going to call this set up cards. So that's...
Do I have to... I didn't even call it... I didn't even need to call it that. But I can. I'll set it up the same way. Set up cards.
It's going to be our function that we define later to handle this functionality.
Both in the quotes, both in the equals.
So this position is going to be relative to our checker.
On
so like,
click.
I'm going to be passing it kind of
position.
an XYZ value, and if I put 0, 0, 0, it's just going to be right centered on my checker.
0, 0, minus 3,
0,
right?
0, and I believe negative 30. That's basically just, I want to raise it on the z-axis so that the button is completely above the checker. So in practice, the idea is that this will completely cover the checker, and most people playing the mod would actually never even know that that checker is there. But it fulfills the need of our...
The button is not like under the table or some shit, is it? Not that I... Well, it's hard for me to tell right now, but...
button needing an object, and also gives us a way to kind of easily move the button around if needed, which I'll show that a little bit later. So the next thing I want here is to define just the dimensions.
It is under the... Wait.
600...
How... Why is it under the button? They told me to set it to negative 30.
We're going to say a height.
Did Tabletop Sim change how this works in the 3 years since it was posted? Because
200. And lastly, I'm
he explained it's supposed to put it above. I put in negative 30. And apparently it didn't do it. Maybe if I just put it to 30. Okay, you put it to 30 now. That's what you're supposed to do. You put it to 30, and then it does it. Also, what is going on with the... Okay, it's also backwards. Okay. Okay. Now I set it to negative... Okay, I think I understand what happened. I think the button was just upside down. Listen. Okay, now we're good. I guess. I don't know. All right.
I'm going to define a font size.
You wrote 600, 200, 00, negative 30.
I'm going to have that be 72, which I just know from playing around with this earlier that that's going to be a decent font size for the size of button. So now, if we save and play here, we should reload, and we can see here that we have this button that currently is flipped upside down, and that's just because it's oriented however our checker is oriented. So you can see I can grab this checker here, and the button's going to move with it. If I rotate it, it's going to rotate that button. Similarly, if I flip it, it's going to flip that button, which isn't really desirable behavior. So ultimately, what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to get where I think I want this to be. You know, so maybe change the deck here. And I can adjust this. If I didn't want to do it grabbing menu, I could use the gizmo tool here to move. If I click here, I can get the actual numbers here that I could really tweak it exactly. I'm not too worried about getting this exact. So I'm going to get it where I want.
Easy enough.
I'm specifically going to lock the checker, which I could also do with the L key. Because now, there's no, I'm not going to accidentally move it now. You can't grab the checker until that's unlocked. So it's a pretty safe way that this button's going to stay fixed where it needs to be. So we have this button now, set up cards. It looks really nice. And we can click it, but it doesn't do anything. And the reason it doesn't do anything, if we go back into our modding scripting here, is because we defined onClick to call the function setup cards. But we didn't define a function called setup cards. So we need to provide that function in the Lua code here for it to actually be able to call. So let's do that now. We're going to do function setup cards end. And so now this matches what I have here. And now when it's clicked, what do I want to have happen? Now, anytime you're programming something like this, you want to break it into kind of smaller subproblems. I don't want to try to program all of that functionality that I talked about at once. I want to kind of start with one piece and see, okay, does that piece work? Okay, once that's working, now I can build on it. So that it's just easier to debug and not have a bunch of errors kind of pile up on each other. So let's start by just very simply making it so that when I click this button, it shuffles the deck of cards. Because that's probably something we want in this setup is when you set up the game, it shuffles them before actually dealing them out. So we're always getting the same cards every game. So we're going to need to access that deck, right? This is all through that checker button, but we need to call shuffle or randomize is the actual function on this deck. And the way we're going to reference another object on the table is through its GUID. So if I come in here and I go to scripting, I can see its GUID here, and I can click it to copy it to the clipboard. And so if I come back to my modding, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put that in my global code here. So I'm actually just going to delete what's here, and I'm going to say deck
how do you lock it?
equal to, and then I'm going to paste that in.
Locked.
Now, why am I doing this in global? The reason is these GUIDs, this is never going to change for the deck. It's always going to be the same as long as I don't like delete and recreate that deck. However, I may be referencing this in a lot of different places in my code. Maybe not. It's all going to reference another dealing them out, so that we're not always getting the same. It's debug. If I want to provide, I can click it, but it doesn't do it. Call the function setup cards. But we didn't define a function called setup cards. So we need to provide that function in the Lua code here for it to actually be able to call. So let's do that now. We're going to do function setup cards.
Now you do this in the Lua side. Yes. Okay. Function set up cards. And then do you do brackets? Then you do the parentheses and then brackets. What is that? How's it look?
And so now this matches what I have here. And now when it's clicked, what do I want to have happen? Now, anytime you're programming something like this, you want to break it into kind of smaller subproblems. I don't want to try to program all of that functionality that I talked about at once. I want to kind of start with one piece and see, okay, does that piece work? Okay, once that's working, now I can build on it. So that it's just easier to debug and not have a bunch of errors kind of pile up on each other.
Well, let's shuffle the cards first.
Simply making it so that when I click this button, it shuffles the deck of cards. Because that's probably something we want in this setup.
That's good. Let's do that.
It shuffles them before actually dealing
with them. Let's do that.
Not always getting the same cards every game. So we're going to need to access that deck, right? This is all through that checker button.
You're going to shuffle the cards, then deal it out.
Shuffle or randomizes the actual function on this deck.
And then do the beginning discards.
To its GUID. So if I come in here and I go to scripting, I can see its GUID here, and I can click it to copy it to the clipboard. And so if I come back to my modding, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put that in my global code here. So I'm actually just going to do it with its GUID. So if I come in here and I go to scripting, I can see its GUID here, and I can click it to copy it to the clipboard. And so if I come back to my modding, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put that in my global code here. So I'm actually just going to delete what's here, and I'm going to say deck GUID equal to.
Is this just all comments? Oh, this is all comments.
Now, why am I doing this in global? The reason is these GUIDs, this is never going to change for the deck. It's always going to be the same as long as I don't like delete and recreate that deck. However, I may be referencing this in a lot of different places in my code. Maybe not in this example, but if you were doing a full mod of a game, there might be a lot of different things that reference it. If I copy this string of text everywhere that I want to use it, if that ever changes because I replace the deck or for some reason the GUID changes,
you're going to lose your mind. I understand. I know. I'm a coder. Just tell me what to do with it.
GUID, another one of your scripts or objects. So I'm going to actually do deck.gud equal to global.getVar, and then the name of the variable that I want to get. And this may seem a little silly, like why not just put this in here? But again, if this wasn't the only thing that was referencing this ID, I would have that this I want to get. And this may seem a little silly, like why not just put this in here? But again, if this wasn't the only thing that was referencing this ID, I would have that ID now in multiple places, where now but I always grab it from global, and if I ever need to update it, I should have one single point of truth that I can update it, and it should update it everywhere. So now we have that inner checker, we want to get the actual deck object, which is a very common thing to want to do in scripting, and you're basically going to do that by using the get object from GUID function. And so we're going to use deck GUID, which we defined up here before our function.
Get object from GUID.
The deck object, and it should put us into this variable deck, which I made local simply because this is a variable that I only care about within the context of this function. It doesn't need to be accessed outside of this function. So now that I have this, the functionality I want at this point is I simply want to shuffle it.
All right, easy
so all
enough.
I need to do now that I have the deck object is called deck.randomize. And this is something that's just defined by the Tabletop Simulator scripting API as a function that a deck has. Like a deck, Tabletop Simulator knows what you are asking for when you say to randomize.
Is that it? Can we do that?
So if
everything got reset. Everything just got reset. Hold on. the button got reset, and it shouldn't have. Hold on. Here's what we have to do first. Put that there. Put this there. Save the game. Override. Overwrite. And we load the game. Scripting. Script and play, it will load this. Okay. So when I click it, it does it. Legendary. It will not be Fos. And then when I put it back, it will not be Fos. Okay, now, if I'm also doing start game, the next thing you're going to want is to collect the cards, right? Put all the cards together and put them all back. Right, if everybody has cards. I mean, you could also just physically reset the game, I guess. But, like, if you were to do something like, I'm tracking our wins based on, like, these marbles people are collecting, you don't want to have to reload the whole game every single time you play. And so you would want the function to also collect all of the cards.
Here, it should
There's
grab
probably
the
a way
object,
to do that.
and then it should call randomize on that deck. So if we save and play here, and actually the reason our button is flipped back around is because
you didn't
I
save
need to
it.
rotate the checker, and if you remember,
I figured
that's
that
a change
out.
that I actually need to make to the
Yeah.
mod itself. So I need to override.
I know.
Here. Otherwise,
I
when
figured
do
that out.
scripting changes, it reverts back to the old positioning of the checker.
I get
which
it.
Also means that this isn't locked anymore. So you can see this is a great
No,
example
I
of how
understood.
easy that mistake is to make changes like that.
Yeah,
and
it's
forget
very easy to make mistakes.
override
I
it
didn't make
before.
it, though. I didn't
so
make
it's just
it.
a habit you kind of have to build. Anytime you make those changes, make sure you save them to main mod before you make more scripting
I
changes.
mean, for a second
But
I did,
if we
but
see here, if we click
don't
this
worry
button,
about it.
we can see that it did kind of the little shuffle animation, right? And if we look,
Yeah,
we can
I
see
see
like
it.
2 of hearts, and if I come back in and I save and play again,
You didn't have to
you
save
should,
and
if we
play
click it,
again.
get a different
You
one.
could-
So
you
it's
could
simple.
just
So that's
press
what we
the
want.
button
And
again.
that
You could
is
just
the
press the
first
button
step
again.
in what we want to do, right? When we click this button, we want it to randomize, and then ultimately we're going to want it to
You
deal some
could-
cards
you
out
could
and
just
deal
press
some
the
into a
button
row.
again.
So let's go to that next step, which is to deal
It
cards,
shuffles.
which again, Tabletop Simulator makes it quite easy just by providing you that functionality in the scripting API. So a deck, besides being able to randomize, also has a function called deal. And specifically, in
Yes, okay, now we're talking.
this case, we can just pass it the number of cards we want to deal. And there's other like attributes and options that you can pass to this deal function that are all documented in the API. But by default, if we don't provide any of those, what this is going to do is it's going to try to deal 5 cards to all seeded players. Because that's kind of the most common case that you would want to do, is deal to all the players that are currently in the game. So that should be all we need to deal 5 cards to each player. Now, right now, I only have 1 player, and I don't really have a way to simulate being more than 1 player. But if we click this, we can see it shuffled, and then it dealt me 5 cards. So I have, 4, 5, 4 here. If we save and play again, and do it.
So we'd want it to do like deck deal. Deck dot deal 1. Right? Okay. What did it not? Oh, wait, did I not lock it? I have to lock the button. Well, first of all, give the card back. Shuffle. Lock the button. Lock. Okay, it's locked. Okay, it is locked. Okay, don't want that though. I keep forgetting. I don't want it to shuffle to me because I'm about to try to save it. So this is easier. Shuffle, shuffle. Save, overwrite. Boom. Then we load. Now this is not locked, and it will not be locked. Okay, cool. Now, modding, scripting. Okay, cool. We have it dealing. Now, we also need it when you press that button. It will also retrieve all the cards. I don't know if he's going to teach us that next, though, but let's see what he teaches
Which, again,
us.
I should get a different set, right? Because it's shuffling first.
Add
Now,
cards
the way
to
I have it
row?
defined right now, this setup cards button is still here, and if I click it again, it's going to shuffle it again, and it's going to deal me 5 cards. And if I do it again, it's going to shuffle again and do me 5 cards, right? Because that's all we've told it to do, is whenever you click this button, shuffle and deal 5 cards to all players. And if we had other players, it would be dealing 5 to every player. So eventually, we're going to want, after it does the setup, for this button to disappear. We don't want that to be an option anymore as they go into the game. But this is a good start, right? That gets us a little bit of the way of what we're wanting. So the last piece here is we want this, after it deals the cards, to deal some of them face up into kind of like a communal row to select from during the game, based on the number of players.
Yes.
I'm going to say 2 cards to the row.
I am
going
gonna
to
need a similar
We're going to do
thing.
that part second. We're going to start just with getting them to deal into a row. So let's come back into our modding folder, and let's go to our button. And it's all going to still be in the setup cards function, right? This is where everything needs to happen for us to be able to set up the game. That's the idea. So the way we're going to break this down is we basically want to find the position of the deck. So we want to know where's the deck on the table, and then we want to loop a certain amount of times, and each time through the loop, take a card, flip it, and add it to the row, and we're going to determine the position in the row based on that position of the deck, because it's going to be kind of relative to the deck. So the first step of that is we just need to get the position of the deck. So if we do local, and I'm going to name it deck, and this is, you know, do I name it deck this or this? There's kind of the snake case versus camel case. From what I can tell, Lua doesn't have like a specific style guide preference for this. I may go with camel case just because it's probably a better chance that I'm going to stay consistent with it. But again, you can name variables whatever you want. It's kind of, as long as you stay consistent, it's going to read well and be clean. So to get this, it's going to be, again, a function on deck. But here it's actually going to be a function that's just on any object, which a deck happens to be an object, which is get position. And so what this is going to now return and store into deck position here is basically the XYZ value of the deck's position. So next here, I'm going to define a variable called X position, and I'm specifically wanting this to be taking the X value of our deck and kind of like incrementing it to the side, because when it deals the cards, I want to deal them to the side of the deck. So to get the X value of this position, this holds 3 values, an X, Y, Z, and so I can access those by using square brackets, and 1 here is going to just give me the first value, 2 is the second value, 3 is the third value. Now, if you have programming experience, that might sound off to you, because most programming languages index from 0, it would normally be 0, 1, 2, but here with Lua, from what my limited experience in Lua, it seems to index from 1, and that's also true when we see the for loop here.
That's fucking annoying.
So we're going to grab that X value, which is going to be some numeric value of kind of where is the deck on the table in the horizontal axis, and then we're going to add a value, which I'm going to do 3, only because I know that that's going to kind of put this where we want it to be. So the idea is that that X value now is going to be right next to our deck. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create a loop where every time through the loop, we're going to draw a new card and flip it into place, and we're going to use this position to determine where to put it, and then we're going to increment this position by another 3 so that we bump over to another spot. So as the loop goes, it's going to keep, you know, putting a card down, bumping to the side, putting a card down, bumping to the side. So let's take a look at what that might look like. So for loop in Lua is going to look something like this. I'm going to say for I equal to 1, whatever you want the index to start with, and then wherever you want the index to go to. In this case, I'm just going to do 5. Eventually, we're going to want this to be based on the number of seated players, but I'm just going to use 5 for now. So 5, then we're going to do whatever's in this block.
I'll just do this to test it, fuck it.
Here as well. And so if you're not familiar with for loops, all this is going to do is whatever code is here is going to get repeated 5 times. And the first time through, the variable I is going to be equal to 1, then I is going to be 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it's going to finish and go to our next code. So each time through, we want to get the next card off the deck. We want to flip it over to where our current X position is defined as. So to do that, we're going to use the take object function. So take object, again, is defined by the scripting API to be used on anything that's like a container, so like a deck or a bag. And it's basically a way to take an element out of that container and then bring it into the world, into the physical play space. And take object accepts as its kind of parameters to this function a Lua table, which is the curly braces. And a table, if you don't remember, is simply like a list of kind of a key value pairs. So it's just allows a flexible amount of variables to be passed. So there's a lot of different things that could be passed as function that are all documented in the API.
What do I pass into it?
Interested in a couple specific ones, and that's going to be flip and position. Flip is what's going to tell it, hey, when we take this object from the deck, we actually want to flip the card so we can see it. And then the position is going to be where do we want to put the card on the table. So first, let's set flip, and we're going to set that equal to true, because we want it to flip. And then we're going to set our position, which our position here is going to be actually another Lua table, where we're defining 3 values, the X, the Y, and the Z value, right? So it's going to be like X, or rather this isn't a Lua table, it's kind of like an array or list. And so I need an X, Y, and Z. Now, what do we want those to be? Well, in this case, the Y and Z are going to be the same as our deck, right? Because we don't want the cards to go vertically different, and we don't want them to go into the table or above the table.
Okay.
So we can actually use our values from deck position, and just use deck position 2 and deck position 3. Okay, so same Y as the deck, same Z as the deck, but we do want the X to be different because we don't want to flip it right on top of the deck. And here is where we're going to use X position, which we've already defined to be the deck's X position plus 3.
I did notice that I got this wrong.
3 units to the right. Once we've done that, we then want to increment.
Can I make this bigger?
X position should be X position.
You can't make it bigger?
3.
There you go.
So that the next time it loops, now it'll be, you know, the deck plus 6, and then the next time it'll be the deck plus 9, so that we get this nice row that kind of can go indefinitely regardless of how many times
A cleaner approach may have been to set the X position to 1 plus I times 3 using the loop variable instead of needing X posts. Oh.
Loop is going to execute. So with this, we should expect that we should get some cards dealt to the table, and specifically 5, so we can go indefinitely regardless of how many times.
Okay, so then here it would be. Wait, why is this like that? Deck posts 1 equals, and then it's deck posts 1 plus I times 3, and then I don't need this thing at all, right? Is that what he's saying? Is this what he's telling me?
Lines. Get some cards to our last load file, and specifically 5 cards dealt to the table next to it. Cards, and then second, third, fourth, fifth, and it dealt them into a nice row here. So that's
So save. And press the button. Did not work. He yelled at me when I asked for that. Has to do with the position. It says value equals error converting. Table vector. Okay, well, something about what he tried to have me adjust I didn't understand, and I didn't do it. So let's see what he wanted me to do. X posts. Oh, because X posts, I don't think I defined it anymore. Yeah, that's why. Yeah, something like that, right? That's what he was thinking. Well, they... Is this what he meant to write? I think it meant I plus 3. I'm just saying. Let's think this through. Because the only thing that was confusing me was he's assigning the deck object, the take object, flipping it, and showing where its new position should be. The X position, he writes it first, is the same as the X post at the top, which is the plus 3. Clear approach may have been to set the X position to deck 1 plus I times 3 using the loop variable instead of needing. So every time you do the loop variable, starting at 1, then he's doing 1 or plus I times 3, right? So you loop it the first time, it is what he intended with the first one. So okay, so I think I would write that in the position thing in general instead of all this other stuff. Oh, he's assigning the next X pose for all right, I understand. I understand now. I misunderstood what he was asking for. I didn't know if this is some weird language where it's like, you can assign things later and it will change the value of the existing thing. I just misunderstood because I'm a fucking idiot. It's fine. We learn. We learn. We actually don't need them to be that far apart, though. We actually don't need them to be that far apart. You need to be a little closer. So, let's try 2 instead. See what that looks like. That's better. The initial one should be further away, though. We want the initial one to be further away. So we actually would do the starting thing outside of this. Let's say the first one is 3 away. And the next ones are... we want the first one to be that. So, yes, we would start it with that. And then... yeah, we would just... We would use Xpost for the thing that I'm doing, right? Because I would need it to be like that. I guess for what I'm trying to do, I would need Xpost. Because I would then, like, want to apply it like this, right? Because I'm trying to have it start at a different location, but I also need to update it. I'm like that, right? Okay, whatever it was I set up wrong. Let's see here. Deck position plus 3 for the first one. Because we want it to be a little bit further away. Which, if I look back, we accomplished. Then we want the rest to just be like next to each other, essentially. We want them to be like next to each other, like that. And so to make sure that's happening, I'm trying to do exposition equals exposition plus I equals 2. Oh. I don't need that. It wouldn't be I equals at that point because I'm already applying the thing every time. There you go. Now, that's only, you only even deal the 3 cards in the middle if there's like more than 2 players. Or if there's only 2 players, then you do that. So actually, I would want it more further in the middle because I'm not expecting there to be more cards. I mean, you would only put 3 in the middle when that happens. So that's fine, actually. So let's say we put it more in the middle like that. Like that. Boom. Okay. And then set it to 3 cards. You do it 3 times. Set it to like, I don't know, 7 like that. Boom. And, you know, 3 cards that are not in the game already. And everybody else's discards go in front of them. That's how it should be. Can I add fake players to this game? Is this a thing I could actually... You want to add boxes, right? For, like, players... Yeah, the blocks. You want to add blocks. For, like, player hands, right? Is this what you use for player hands? Say, like, this is orange player and shit like that. No, you don't. It's already built in. What am I doing? Okay. Am I just not seeing the things I'm supposed to see? Hold on. Hands. Yeah, no, we should be able to do that. All right. I mean, that would be fine, I think, though, right? Okay. I think his next one's probably going to be about...
Going to execute. So, with this, we should expect that we should get some cards dealt to the table, and specifically 5 cards dealt to the table next to it. So let's test it and see if it works. I'm going to hit save and play, which is going to go back to our last load file, and I'm going to click here. It's going to randomize and deal me cards, and then should flip some. And it looks like it worked. So you can see here's our 5 cards here, and this is the first one through the loop, then second, third, fourth, fifth, and it dealt them into a nice row here. So that's cool, right? And like you can start to see where this would be useful if you were at the beginning of a game instead of having to like manually draw them and set them out there. So that gets us pretty close, but I mentioned that we want this to be based on the number of players, which is really going to be a minor adjustment to our script. Because really the number that's wrong here is this 5, right? We're saying always do 5, but that's no longer true. Now it's going to be a variable amount. It could be 4 if we only have 2 players, and it could be 8 if we have 4 players. So we want it to be how many players there are times 2, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this 5 with an expression that's going to evaluate to whatever number we want it to be. And I want that to be 2 times the number of players that are seated specifically. So Tabletop Simulator provides a function called getSeated_players, which basically returns a list of all of the players that are seated currently. We don't want that list, though. We want like the size of it, the length of it, how many players are there. And this is where Lua kind of has some syntactic sugar to make it easy to do this, which is that the little hashtag, octothorpe, #, whatever you want to call it, if you stick that in front of a collection like what is returned by getSeatedPlayers, it's going to give you the length of that, how many there are in it. So now this expression is saying 2 times the number of seated players, which in theory should be what we want. So let's see if that worked.
So what did he do? Hashtag getSeatedPlayers? You have to do hashtag there?
The little hashtag, octothorpe, #, whatever you want to call it, if you stick that in easy to... So we want like the size of it, the length of it, how many players are there. And this is where Lua kind of has some syntactic sugar to make it easy to do this, which is that the little hashtag, octothorpe, #, whatever you want to call it, if you stick that in front of a collection like what is returned by getSeatedPlayers, it's going to give you the length of that, how many there are in it. So now this expression is saying 2 times the number of seated players.
All right, so now I just need to know how you do if statements. Lua, if statements. If 2 players, deal 3. In front, right? If, blah, then, and then end. Okay. So, we do if, hashtag get player hands, right? Is that what he wrote? Get seated players. Okay, get seated players is equals 2. If there's 2, then, and then you want to put all this. What? Stop. What are you, where did you go? Bro, you're not fucking doing this to me. You're not fucking doing this to me. Are you fucking serious? I try to tab and it removes everything I just wrote? Are you fucking for... And you can't undo? And you can't undo. You can't... If you multi-line tab, it just erases it and you can't undo? Are you fucking for real? Are you fucking for real? You're fucking with me. You're just fucking with me. There's no shot. Okay. I have to go through line by line and manually do that. You really gonna do this to me? Actually, I don't need these to be tabbed in because I'm gonna need them for other things. If hashtag get seated players is equals 2, then all this happens, and then we do end. Then we do that. All right, there is only one player, so we did not deal out the cards. Or we did not deal the cards in the middle. They were supposed to, so that's good. If we had another player, which I don't know how I simulate a player. I don't know if there's a way for me to simulate a seated player. Tabletop sim fake player. How do I add a dubbing player during development of script? You're working on a single player yourself, then pass the player as a parameter to the function. Worked for testing the scripts I built. Don't know if it'll be helpful. What? It's something that would require multiple hands, though. Yeah. When a player isn't seen, it will return any cards in the hand still. Just use hot seat mode. You're not helping. Alright, so the answer is just go fuck yourself. The answer is just go fuck yourself. If you go to multiplayer and choose hot seat, you can emulate several players. It will turn on the turns feature, and when you end turns, it switches to the next seat. Anytime you're playing as one color, all other colors are blind to you like normal. Okay, well, I'm not in multiplayer, so I'd have to save this game and load up it again, right? That's what I'd have to do. Let's put that there. Put that there. Games, save. Save. Oh, overwrite this. Yes. Then we leave. We leave. And then we create multiplayer. Oh, no. Create hot seat. Number of players. Let's say 2. Enter name of player 1. It's player 1. I'll take the blue spot. Number player 2. Player 2. They will take the red spot. And we will load this game. Boom. This is not where I wanted that to be placed, but it's over there. Okay. Alright, so then we do start game. Because there's 2 of us, 3 cards will be dealt in the middle. Because there's 2 of us. I understand. Okay. And all these cards will be reflected like that. Okay. Then I would play, and then we go to them, and then they would play. Okay. Okay. Alright, so for 3 players, that works too. What else will we need? We would need the button to, I guess, collect all of the cards? Oh, we would also need to discard the top card and not flip it, which we can easily get it to do. You would just put it to, I don't know, put it up here. Can I put it in a specific hand? it says that you have to not have one card be used. So you would put it to the side somewhere. You would lock it. Okay. All right, we pretty much got the gist of this, I guess. I think... Okay. One other thing I want to do... I think I'm fine with this being set up the way it is. We could probably leave it like this. Well, actually, maybe not. We have to collect all the cards. Does he tell you how to get it to collect all the cards? Is there a way to do it? Or is it the auto refill?
Should be what we want. So let's see if that worked. So because I'm the only
Oh, destroy button after setup. Ooh.
And it looks like it did aces.
That might be better.
Because I can't bring in another player by myself here, I can't show that it's working with more. You could certainly test that in other ways, but I have pretty high confidence that that's working and would work with more because it's using that get seated players function. And so the last piece that we're going to want here is we actually want that button after you've clicked it and it's done the setup to disappear. Its job is finished. We can get rid of it. And the way we're going to do that is just by destroying this checker object that's holding the button. And the Tabletop Simulator Scripting API provides us with a destroy object function, which takes an object. So like if we want to destroy the deck, we could pass a deck here and it would destroy the deck. In this case, we want to destroy the checker, which because we're in the checker script, this checker black right here, and actually this is
and then when I destroy it, I can put the discarded card to the left.
Before doing the scripting changes, I lost that
Ooh,
change. So with checker
okay, I could do
black,
that.
Because I'm in this script, there's actually a keyword, self, that's always going to refer to the object of the script that I'm currently in. So I can use self to basically get this object instead of needing to like get it by its GUID. So if I save and play now, and come here, I should expect this to be the final product, for it to randomize the deck, deal me some cards, deal all seated players cards, deal out 2 cards per player to the row, and then get rid of that button. So let's see how that works here.
What did he do?
Cards and play now, and come here, I should expect this to be the final product, for it to randomize the deck, deal me some cards, deal all seated players cards, deal out 2 cards per player to the row, and then get rid of that button. So let's see how that works here. And there we
What did he add to it? Destroy object cell. Oh, okay. Of course. So, modding, scripting. Destroy object self. And then we would also want the card dealt over to that position too. This all happens first before we deal to everybody. This all happens. But in actuality, before this part, we have the draw a card and put it to the other side. So, X post equals deck post 1 minus, let's say 3. Let's say it's a -3. Then, deck dot take object, then we do, I think I don't have to passive flip if we're not flipping it. We're just going to do position equals, and then pass it X post, and then deck post 2, and then deck post 3. And then boom. And that's all we had to do for that, I think. And then for this one, it had to be different. And then we deal 1, and then we destroy self. I think that's how that works. Oh, something didn't work. Unexpected symbol near deck. What was the... Oh. Oh, okay. Deck post 1 -3. Right? Okay. You must save first. I can do that. Did everything I just write just get deleted, though? Am I dumb? No, it's right here. Okay. We have to save first, though. Let's copy this just in case. Okay. Overwrite. And load. Modding. We're all good. Load it. Cannot access field take... Oh, I wrote that wrong. God damn it. Spelled it wrong. Take object. There you go. Like that. And because there's only 2 of us, it does that. And it did discard this card. We can also just have it do -4 for that instead. What just happened here? Oh, we destroyed the button. So now it's just not going to be there for us to edit. So we have to load this if we want to edit it. Okay. We would do -4. Okay. And then we'd want to lock this, I guess, right? Well, it doesn't matter. My concern is if somebody accidentally draws this card. So maybe I'd want to put it into a specific, like, hand or something like that, but I don't know. We have to, like, be able to hide it. Like in an envelope or something. But, I mean, I guess this works for now. To get this to work the way that we need it to. And you could always put this a little closer to that. Fuck it. Let's do it. Hold on. Load. Put this a little bit more here. Modding, scripting. This will do -7 that way, 6 that way, and this one will do +4 that way. We'll see how that looks. Okay, I think that's better. And this one we can actually put 7. Oh, yeah, the button gets deleted. And maybe these are like 3. Okay. Okay. Again, I'm still concerned about this thing, but whatever. Maybe I'd have to like put it on its side or something. Can I turn it? Well, whatever. Alright, well this is how it should be. So now if I leave this game... Oh wait, did I save it? Hold on. Okay. Right. Okay, and then if I leave the game... If I create single player, try to load this game, and I start it, I'm only 1 player, and if I'm more than that, then it's going to be okay. We did it, gamers. We set up the basics of this. I would obviously want to adjust it a little bit more and see what other things we can do, but for now, I think this is probably fine. Before we wrap up the stream for tonight, we will go over the general plan I have for what we're probably going to work on for the what could potentially be called the Waifu Project. I don't know what we'd call it exactly. But here's the thing with it. Can I get some kind of text editor that doesn't have a million other things? Could I get something like that? Okay, let's see here. Okay. Now, here's what we're thinking. Okay. Originally, I called it the Waifu Royale Project. Name pending. Because you could also call it the Best Girl Royale, or like just Best Girl something. Or something to that effect. But when people hear the term waifu, they think it means a character you want to fuck or a character you want to marry or whatever, I guess. Because I remember people got really upset with that one Twitter account, which is putting waifus on a TV, and they probably put like a character that's like not a waifu, it's just a cute fucking moe girl. I don't know. And people were like, that's not a wife. What is this fucking It's like, that's not what people use that term for typically, but okay. So we could change it to something else. Also, the other reason I'm concerned about it is I think Waifu Royale is already like a hentai. I think that's the name of a hentai, but I'm not sure. It could be something like it. I know there's Booty Royale or whatever, but either way. So I might be changing something like that. The name's not as important. The important thing is the idea to go with. Now, I explained this before in a previous stream, where one idea that I had originally was it would be a database thing, kind of like a Tinder, like people collectively voting on things kind of thing, I guess, where you have two options in front of you. I don't even know if you technically consider it Tinder, really, but you'll understand, I guess, when I explain it. You'd have two options in front of you for, like, the girls, okay? You have an anime girl on the left, anime girl on the right. You have to pick which one is better. You can use whatever factor you want, or there might be like a topic for that day to say this is what this is supposed to be based on. Who would win in this kind of trait thing? Could be based on attractiveness, could be based on fighting ability, could be based on intelligence, could be based on a whole bunch of factors. And you would pick as the person. And now the original idea I had was everybody would essentially be getting the same poll every day, but it would be presented to them in a randomized order, and they can only vote in this once. And then I would be collecting all of that data and presenting the final results. And it would be a daily thing. That sounds cool in my head. It won't mean jack shit if I don't have people using the website yet. So, instead, I would like the idea to be something that's not necessarily dependent on people voting in it. At this point. In the future, that'd be cool. But right now, where I wouldn't have a lot of people voting in it, because who the fuck knows what the fuck I do or any of those things, right? Let's instead have it be anything that we can have as a simulated thing to, like, be a contest between the two. Now, the basic idea would simply be you have a database of anime girls, which you can just keep adding to once you set up the structure for this, right? You'd have the database of them, and you would like record like what their wins and losses are. Essentially, you would have an ELO, like a ranking for each of the waifus that compete in this game, and you would have it be simulated, right? It would be a simulation type deal where you would run it like a program. It just tries to... I'm still trying to work through the details for how it would work in the background, but essentially, you would say, this is the bracket of the waifus, and now you and chat get to pick who you think is going to win as like a bet thing, I guess, kind of like Salty Bet or whatever. But essentially, the game's just going to play itself, kind of like marbles or whatever, where like you could put people's names or whatever down, and you could just say, "Oh, this is the person who's they're going to win" or whatever. But instead, it would just be anime girls. So you can have something like that in place, and eventually you can expand on it and add things like, actually, as they move through, they become stronger and get random abilities. Now, who do you think is going to win? Things like that. And it'd be like a tournament arc kind of bracket thing, but it'd be an automated thing. You could just run it, and then it would just play, and then chat can interact with it. So we want Twitch chat integration into this in terms of betting on winners, voting on abilities, potentially, or like stats, ability / stats, and picking, I don't know, like theme / topic, or theme / like setting, I guess, because you can have like different battlefields, like settings, like this is this type that people picked on, and then like different attributes are better for people and things like that. You can essentially have like that, but we need to build waifu database, or grab from API. But either way, we would be attaching ELO rankings from contests. So that we could see like who's overall like been winning these games. And then we can also I don't know, like just track wins / losses overall, like ratios, and potentially randomized power-ups over time that carry over. There's a whole bunch of different things we could try for this, but it would be an idea where normally the game by default runs itself. Pairs, anime girls to fight each other. Fights could be completely random or also weighted based on theme / stats. Okay. Could have maybe potentially scheduled to run with posted results daily. Could have planned specific themes for tournaments. Okay. That's essentially the sort of like basic ideas of what I have in mind for this kind of thing. And that's what I want us to go with. I don't want to start building it tonight, but I just want to kind of give you guys an idea of what's kind of going through my head with this project. And that's kind of what's going through my head with that. And we'll build it up together, and we'll see how it looks. That's what I'm thinking that we go with this. So, I have not started any of this yet. And the main question is, do I want to build as a website or build as a Unity project? How do you integrate Twitch bots or Twitch chat with this? Should website be public facing or private for stream running? Things like that. And also like what type of database to use. SQL or no SQL. Pretty much. Because I'm used to both types now, and I feel like NoSQL might work better for this, but I don't know. It would probably make it easier for just adding in waifus in the future. But I don't know for sure. We can set up any kind of way. But... And then the other question would be, do I let people just sign on to the website, or is the website's only point just to like show the results? I feel like it's probably going to be better as a Unity project. But I also want the results to get posted online for people to like see the history of them. So maybe a website would be better, but I don't know if I'd want other people to be able to make accounts on the website. So the question would be, if website, do you allow users on it? Probably not. I'm going to say probably not. Because fuck you guys. For a while, I wouldn't need you guys going in to fuck with everything. Maybe in terms of like waifu submissions, but we're a long ways away from that. I would need people to be interested and actively know that this is a feature that exists before we start worrying about that. This is some general ideas, so I think we'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at all this for tonight. We finished up my processing of that person's manga list from their the Anime Planet list to Annie list, so good luck to them, and I hope that works good for them. We finished up the basics of the Land of Lustrous scripting for the tabletop sim. I will probably look into how to properly clean it up and just add in the rule book or whatever on there, and edit the cards so that they have the actual text that's supposed to be on the cards in English, because I can do that. I have the power of Photoshop and Anime and God on my side, so I can accomplish all these things. And I think that's pretty much it. We did that, and then we have the plan for the waifu project. I don't know when we'll specifically start it, but that's the idea for something that we will build for our first big project, I think. So I think that's what we'll do. So we'll end it for here. Thank you so much, everybody. If you stopped by to hang out or watch or anything like that, thank you so much. If you watch this on VOD, thank you so much. And I'll talk to you all later. Goodbye, gamers. Goodbye. I don't have a goodbye screen, so you just get this. But there will not be a starting soon thing. I have to work on this. Goodbye.